So we have all three of our basic shapes drawn. What we're going to end up doing is putting all three in a composition, but first let's make a background. You might hear my kitty in the background agreeing with me. Come over to your layers palette, turn off the eyeball on your cone, and select the background layer, make a new layer, call it gradient. Make sure black is in the foreground. Underneath the paint bucket tool we've been using, hit the drop down menu and choose gradient tool. When the gradient tool is selected, up here underneath the word Photoshop, you'll have these two controls available to you. This palette here, hit the drop down menu, there's all the different gradients you can use. I like to use foreground color to transparent, which is the second one over here. So click that. The second thing to make sure of is if you hover over the gradient types, let me click off so I can, maybe the tooltip will come up here. These are the gradient types that are available. So you don't want radial, you want linear. Okay, you want linear gradient selected. Black is in the foreground or on the gradient layer. Hover anywhere outside the canvas on the left side, click, hold, and drag straight across and let go, and you'll get something like that. And I can keep building up darks. You know, I can like keep clicking, holding, dragging, and it'll get darker and darker. And that's a little bit too dark. And how dark do we go? I don't know yet, because you know, as we compose this thing, we'll figure that out. One thing that I want to point out is in our paintings the light is coming from left to right. I intentionally made the dark go from left to right because it'll look really dramatic. See, come over to your layers palette. Let's turn on the eyeball for the background layer. It should be white, and that way you can see the background. The gradient comes in a lot more clear. Select the background layer, make a new layer, call it floor. And the reason why I'm putting these, reason why I'm not painting on the background layer is just so I can have control of how, you know, I can control my gradient, you know, the background sky, as it were, and I can control the size and the shape of the floor. So for the floor, use the marquee tool, the plain old rectangular marquee tool. Click, hold, and drag and select like maybe the lower third. And again, we might change this, you know, we might lower it and raise it, whatever. Make sure you're on the floor layer. Bring white to the foreground. Use your paint bucket tool and fill it with white. And whoops, I made a mistake. That's not a bad mistake, but okay, so now I filled everything went correct, but if you look at my layers palette, my floor is beneath my gradient. So I want to click, hold, and drag and pull floor above gradient. And that's what we got. So let me Command D to deselect. So from here, we're going to build our composition. So we got the white background, which is locked, the gradient, and above that the floor. And in the next video we'll mess around with putting together the composition.